Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow, Monday to Friday at 6:30. We're delighted to have your company, and the main talking points tonight: Motherwell sack manager Ian Barraclough for a poor start to the season, and that cup knockout to Morton. Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts will be hoping to avoid any slip-ups in their matches tonight. Hearts have been busy in the transfer window. They've signed a Belgian midfielder. We'll talk about that. We'll also discuss Robert Lewandowski's 5 goals for Bayern Munich, and delighted to announce that Davy Moyes got a confidence-boosting win for Real Sociedad against Granada. Yep, football right across the globe tonight on the programme, and Ruffy and myself have a special boot room guest.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Morton boss Jim Duffy is our guest. I'm sure Jim would not like to see any manager lose his job, but he's paid the ultimate penalty, and I don't think it's just for one result, Jim. I think this has been building since the start of the season.
Well, I'd like to think it's not for one result. I don't think that's the case. I think obviously Motherwell have a decision to make. Obviously, as a manager, I feel for any manager to lose their job. I know how much work goes into being a manager. It's a 24/7 job. They work tirelessly to try and improve things for the club. Sometimes you get the break, sometimes you don't. But as I said, obviously not had a great start to the season, Motherwell, and they've made their choice. I said, and it's something that is very disappointing for Ian. And as I said, it's just one of those things. But when you go into this line of work, Peter, you know that patience is not a virtue. That's for sure.
Yeah, Stephen Craigan will be the interim manager at the moment, in charge. Whether he gets it on a full-time basis, we'll discuss Stephen and other candidates later on in the programme. That, I hope, doesn't detract away from what was a good performance. Did you, first of all, sense that there was a cup shock on the cards because of the way Motherwell had started the season, the team selection on the night, and the way your team's been playing?
Well, they haven't been playing at top form, that's for sure. So they didn't come to the game with great confidence, and obviously I was a bit surprised that Scott McDonald didn't play. I thought that they perhaps left him out against Hamilton because of that artificial surface. But when I saw him on the bench, I was delighted, I have to be honest. But we've been playing pretty well. Our confidence was good, and we started the game very well. And leading up to the match, we felt as if we played at our best, we'd have a chance. And we did play very well right throughout the game. We got a sucker punch right in the dying seconds, the equaliser with 10 seconds to go. So that was bitterly disappointing, but all credit to the players. They rolled their sleeves up, really showed a great deal of courage and character, and can come back out battling in extra time, and I think thoroughly deserved their victory. Yeah,
the Motherwell board had a difficult decision to make, Ruffy. Stuart McCall obviously sensed that things were changing there. He wasn't able to get the best out of the squad. Ian Barraclough come in. Ultimately, the win over Rangers home and away was massive for him, but things can change so quickly, as Jim pointed out.
Yeah, I think as far as Motherwell was concerned, they're still trying to get their head round how they could be third in the SPFL, and then be where they were the next year. It's a dramatic change in fortunes, and they've never ever recovered for it. But they've had enough opportunities. They've had enough budget to bring players in. There has been a few people left as well, quite influential players left. But he's had players have come in, but they just haven't gelled together. And again, as Jim said, it's all about results, and he's paid the price.
Yeah, sometimes you can raise expectations so high, and Stuart McCall certainly did that, Jim, because to get Motherwell to second in the table, I mean, they were punching way above their weight at times.
Yeah, I mean, outstanding. But again, you're rarely judged, Peter, on your body of work. When they had a dip, Stuart ultimately, whether it was an amicable decision or a group decision, whatever, but anyway, Stuart left his post and Ian came in, and initially they were a bit up and down, but ultimately they did stay in the Premier League, and that was his main objective. But I would have guessed they were expected to kick on from there, change things around a little bit, and it hasn't quite clicked into gear yet. But I said, you can turn it around. It's only September. We've only had a few games into the league. So for me, I think that all managers need a little bit of time to see where you can turn it around. I think even another 5-6 weeks wouldn't have been that significant in Motherwell's season. I'm sure they would have picked up some points along the way. But as I said, the board, it's their club. They run it. They do what they think's best for Motherwell, and ultimately, Ian's paid the ultimate price.
Yeah. Tell me about Samuel. A good double from him last night. Tids are obviously getting the winner, but sometimes it's ever difficult for a manager from one season to the next to try and just unearth a little gem that you can get on loan.
Yeah, well, quite fortunate with Alex, Peter, because when we tried to get him up, and it was the day that Swansea had beaten Manchester United. So the chairman, Hugh Edwards, was, I think, had a few glasses of champagne and was celebrating quite a lot. So we managed to get a hold of him that day, and he agreed for Alex to come up and join us. So that was great. He's a very talented boy, both on and off the pitch, and a hard-working boy. So when you've got a boy at Swansea, an Aberystwyth boy, it's not easy when you're 19 years of age just to come up to Scotland. But he wanted to do it. He wanted first team football. He wanted to test himself and get away from that comfortable environment as well. And he'll be a better person and a better player when he gets back to Swansea.
Yeah, and picking up on that point, is he a better player when you get him? And does that have at times, for other players in the squad, a demoralising effect, or do they think, well, maybe we need to raise our game even more?
Well, it can be difficult because you have your own young players and your own youth system to try and promote. There's no question about that. Try to get the balance right. When you bring in a 19-year-old. Your own 18-year-old, 19-year-olds are thinking, well, what happened to us? So, but it's all about competition for places. And Alex is, I think, slightly better, not hugely, but just slightly better in one or two departments. Again, he's more physically developed than a lot of guys up here because of the sports science that's been integrated into English football for a good number of years. He's probably been doing that for 6 or 7 years, Peter.
Yeah.
So he's quite physically strong. Probably his technique's probably a little bit better. But there's not a huge difference, but hopefully our young boys can see that and say that how do we need to go and what do we need to do to try and get to that level, and that can push them along, because you've got both sides. You've got the job to do immediately, but then you've got the development side as well to try and encourage and nurture your young players.
Yeah, the flip side is the result last night, Ruffy, has cost Ian Barraclough his job. But there was also a little negative story again with some of the Motherwell fans. Could be in hot water with the officials at the SFA.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one, for the club, because there's nothing they can do about it. You can tell your supporters to be in the best behaviour, but sometimes things happen in a game, with other supporters and managers, players, owners, have nothing they can do about it, and they're the ones that get punished. Unfortunately for me, it's never the people who cause the trouble, it's always the club that gets the.
But it's only a football match, Ruffy.
Yeah.
It's only a football match, Peter. I don't understand why people get so aggressive. It's no place for it in football. There's been no place for it. We know every now and again it can rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
But it's a football match. Okay, you lose and you're disappointed, you can be frustrated and you can vent some anger at times, but you don't need to take it any further than that, either in the ground or outside the ground. And I think people have got to put football in perspective. It's a sport, and in any given day you'll get shocks, and in most football world last night was a shock, but it's not the end of the world, to lose a football match.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I know that your only concern is obviously Morton and what they can achieve. Cup run, always nice, and I think you've said time and time again, staying in the division is the key for you.
Yeah, we want to try and be at the highest level you possibly can, get as many points on board and not have a dogfight at the end of the season. But, again, things can change quickly. We've just spoken earlier on about the Motherwell situation. You can lose a couple of key players through injury. One or two players lose form. You don't have a huge squad, and then that can compound things. And then it's whether you get the chance to dig yourself out the hole is the other question. As I said, it's not many managers get the chance. But as I said, that's the job we're in. That's the job we choose to do. And from Motherwell's perspective, there will be a long list of candidates trying to get that particular manager's job, because it is a top club and a Premiership club, and there'll be a lot of guys waiting to see if they can get themselves in there.
And here's the downside for you, Ruffy. In comes an interim manager. Players realise they've got another chance, and they're facing Thistle at the weekend.
Yeah, but again, that could be a bad thing for Thistle. If it is a new manager comes in there, obviously they'll want to impress him. But again, I think it's all up to the Partick Thistle boys. They know they haven't performed this year at all, and one game can change anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You've still got them to escape relegation, yeah?
Yeah, I have, but they would have to improve dramatically, and scoring goals might help.
Okay, there you are. he says with the saddest face I've ever seen in my life. Okay, in the next part of the programme, we will discuss that match at Ibrox. Was it a cup shock? It's Rangers 1, St Johnstone 3. We'll also discuss more later on in this extended programme the potential candidates for the Motherwell job. There are 3 Scottish League Cup ties to look forward to, and more cup goals to talk about from last night as well. It's all in the company of our bookroom guest, Morton manager Jim Duffy and Alan Ruff. Join us after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. This extended programme tonight, we talked about the main cup shock, which was Morton knocking out Motherwell at Ibrox. Was it a shock, St Johnstone winning the game for you, Ruffy?
Not a shock. I think the thing we discussed yesterday was, would Rangers be able to handle the pace of the game? I think it's a different pace with certain teams in the SPFL, and I think St Johnstone had enough players there that caused Rangers problems. I think Rangers obviously at home, with the crowd behind them and the way they run that they'd been on, it wouldn't have been a shock if they'd won it, but I think the way St Johnstone went about their job was very good.
Yeah, I've got to have a wee dig at you and the managers' fraternity, Jim, because Tommy Wright, again, bleating on about he doesn't feel as if St Johnstone get enough credit. I mean, they won the Scottish Cup, people are waxing lyrical about them, he'll be remembered forever and a day, so will his team. They'll be able to rhyme it off in years to come. He got his tactics absolutely spot on, but this is a St Johnstone side that are a pale shadow of the Scottish Cup winning side.
I mean, it's always difficult. I think when you've not had good results, then obviously you're maybe getting a certain consistency of criticism, and then when you turn that around with one big result, then you think, well, we weren't as bad as what people were painting it. And when you're in house, so to speak, Peter, then you realise maybe the work that the players are going through, or that they're maybe been a shade unfortunate, or whatever it happens to be. So it's maybe just get a chance to get back at some of these critics, and that's just a kind of natural thing for a manager. No one likes to get criticised. You have to accept it. But when you turn the tables a little bit, then sometimes you like to say, well, yeah, I told you so, and maybe you're looking to get the plaudits, because obviously Rangers are such a big club that everyone was looking at the reasons why Rangers didn't win, rather than perhaps looking at the reasons why St Johnstone did win and compliment the winners, rather than look and say, oh well, maybe Rangers aren't quite at the level they thought they were, all these kind of things. So maybe that's what Tommy's getting at, that he wanted due praise for his team going to Ibrox and winning comprehensively. Yeah,
I mean, we were able to learn a few things, Ruffy. I don't think we can be damning of Rangers because St Johnstone just fired into a lead that Rangers couldn't peg them back ultimately. What we did learn is that the manager had done his homework. He looked at Rangers fullbacks bombing on, decided that he had the pace of a Halloran that could really expose them, and they were really clinical.
Yeah, well, I think it's the first time probably for Rangers that another team have had a lot of possession of the ball, and when the other team's got possession of the ball, you've then go to defend it. They've never had to do that very much this year, because they've always been in the front foot. They've always been 4 and 5 goals and players coasting through games. But all of a sudden last night they were given things that they had to do, and some of the players just never come up with it.
Yeah, but I think from Matt Warburton's point of view, he'll not enjoy being knocked out of the cup, but it's a different test for his players, and how they respond to it. Obviously, unfortunately for us, we're the next game for them.
Yeah, I was just about to say to you.
But in terms of Mark, sometimes you need that, kick up the backside just to get you regrouped again and say, right, listen, we're not, maybe the superstars that everybody, not saying the players were thinking that, but they were getting built up to being this, fabulously talented side that were going to sail through, every game almost. And that's not always the case, and I think the manager would know that, but it gets the players then maybe just to kind of calm down a little bit and say, listen, we've still got a lot of work ahead of us, and that might not be a bad thing in the long term for Rangers.
Yeah, well, and just picking up on Jim's point, Ruffy, I mean, that is the case. If you watch Rangers and you watch the difference between last season and this season, they play a better style of football, it's easier on the eye, the work rate is tremendous, but you know, even Mark Warburton, even Dave King has mentioned the fact they need 5 or 6 players for next season. The team that lost to St Johnstone will bear no resemblance to the team that they think will compete next season in the Premiership.
Well, that's what the Rangers supporters will be hoping. You know, there was a wee bit of hysteria beginning to happen. You know, there was the talk of Europe, there was talk of challenging Celtic, there was all this. You know, that's on the back burner a wee bit now. You're right, you know, they have next year to change that again. And I think what the supporters will be hoping that Dave King has got that 30 million if they're going to start challenging Celtic, because it was evident last night they're a bit away for that.
Yeah, and to compliment St Johnstone, Jim, it would be remiss of us not to mention the positives. O'Halloran just was one of those guys that he was a thorn in Rangers' side all night.
Yeah, I mean, he's lightning quick, and you know, he likes to get at players direct, you know, and defenders don't like that. And as Ruffy said earlier, it's probably the first time that, you know, somebody's had a real go at Rangers with that type of pace, because in all the games in the Championship, they've been the team dominating it. So, you know, going the other way, O'Halloran probably thought he would have a bit of space, but it's how well you defend, and you know, you've got to look at St Johnstone. Defended really well with 2 banks of 4, denying Rangers space, and then you know, complemented by, you know, the pace up front and the energy up front to go and exploit you know, any weaknesses that Rangers had. So it was a great performance. Listen, it doesn't matter what division Rangers are in. You go to Ibrox 3-0 up and eventually win the game 3-1 is a fantastic result, and they deserve all the plaudits they'll get.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have had a scout at the match last night. I don't think you need to be told. We certainly don't need to be told about the qualities of Tavernier. Again, Ruffy, when he eventually got that chance to go one-on-one and they didn't double up properly, he dispatched it beautifully.
Oh, you can't complain about that signing. You know, it's a great pick. He's been I think the best Rangers player this season, and a joy to watch, and certainly a full-back with the confidence to go forward and score goals the way he's doing. Great signing.
Yeah, I think that it is a fantastic signing. I mean, Lee Wallace is, I think, chipped in me about 4 goals. I think he's about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So 2 full-backs. It just shows you how advanced they play at times. Rangers, obviously, Waghorn, you know, into double figures already. So I think Rangers have scored over 40 goals, Peter. So, you know, I don't think anyone should read too much into last night. I mean, they've been unbelievable this season. So great credit to him. You know, you're never going to get it perfect every night. St Johnstone done a job on them, but you know, there won't be many teams will be able to do that through the course of the season, and you know, I'm hoping that they maybe have a wee sticky patch that might last even 2 games. I'll be delighted.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll not get any hysteria in this studio, Jim, that's for certain. And just picking up on that point, is it a help or a hindrance to you now that they've had that little wake-up call?
It was one of those ones you're probably thinking, I wish they'd have scraped a win, just shows that the kind of the publicity side would have kept them on a high, and perhaps you know, they might have been a wee bit complacent. But I think, as I said, that'll be a wake-up call from them. I think Matt Warburton will be in about them and say, listen, you know, they have to play at their maximum all the time. So I think they'll come to Capello and they'll be really at it. But that's what you want. If you want to play in games, you want to play with a big crowd, a great atmosphere, and play at the best players in our division playing at their maximum, and then you put your talents against them and see where you are. So I've got no complaints about that, or no concerns about that.
And the thing about it as well, the players respond to it. I mean, you've got a great win last night. I'm sure the training tonight,
today was
tomorrow,
great. It was great.
the next day, the players will get a lift for that, and they know that Rangers are coming, and they'll be as eager as anybody.
Yeah, we'll want to be involved in it, and that's the other thing. That's the difficulty you have of playing, because every player wants to play in these type of games, and so they should.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, the Rangers players might be slightly surprised with, they'll be playing on a very good pitch.
The pitch is outstanding. I mean, Mark the groundsman's done an unbelievable job there, and you know, the pitch is as good as anything, Peter. You know, in the days of many years ago when Ruffy was down there getting dinked by Big Andy and stuff like that, you know, and
I'm glad you remember
you know,
that,
then you know, it was a quagmire, and teams, you know, hated going there, but not now. No, now it's a perfect pitch. There'll be no room for complaints from any of the Rangers players. That'll be a delight to play on.
Yeah, I'm delighted that you mentioned Andy Ritchie. We've had him on the programme before, Ruffy, and I hate sometimes, I mean, I know modern day players don't want to talk about older players and what it was like in their day, but you just wonder what Andy Ritchie would have been like nowadays on a bowling green.
Yeah, no, on that type of surface now. I mean, he was a phenomenon anyway, and he had just a revelation at that time. And also the fact is, you know, players can't kick you now. in the days that Andy played, people, could go and try and give you an early one, so to speak, and sort you out, test your
Speaking
mettle.
from experience.
Yeah, exactly, and see how you reacted to that, and you couldn't do that now. You'll see players now like we saw at the weekend, the Costa scenario with Gabriel. I mean, Costa would just have been, he'd just have been sideswiped,
Yes.
Out the game if he'd have played then, because there were so many guys who would have just awaited their time and then sorted them out. But now he knows that defenders can't do anything because they'll pick up yellow cards or red cards. So you can wind players up now and know that they can't have retribution, whereas when Andy played, a few players were looking for retribution before the game started.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say to any youngster who's wanting to see a bit of quality, you should go on YouTube and just put in Andy Ritchie. You'll see him curl one against Ruffy on the worst pitch you're ever likely to see, and Ruffy comes out with his classic. That's what he's looking for somebody to blame, but there's nobody to blame. It's the perfect free kick, and of course, Ruffy, I'd love to have seen Jim up against Costa. Can you imagine Costa trying to put one over in the tough?
I'm sure you would have waited that long to get him.
I think it's just a modern day game. You wound up, you used to get guys that wind you up and say things to you, but you've just got to smile and walk away from it, and then you wait and you say to the referee, how long there is to go, and the referee says 2 minutes, you say, okay, now's my time. and then you get them then, that's fine.
And there you are, there's an insight into what it was like in the olden days. So from St Johnstone and Rangers in the next part of the programme, we will talk about that thumping handed out to Falkirk as well. Jackie McNamara's Dundee United certainly come up trumps, albeit after extra time, but a win's a win against a Dunfermline side that can be tricky. So we'll look at the remainder of the games and also look ahead to the big 3 games coming up tonight, and we'll talk European football as well, coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. You can always tell when you've got a good topic. It just continues right throughout the break. Of course, you'd never believe these two characters are talking about some of the best fights and forearm smashes on the back of that Diego Costa story. He didn't get away with it, Diego Costa, Ruffy, because he's picked up a 3-game retrospective ban for his antics against Arsenal.
Yeah, I think so. I think he could have picked him up at any of the 3 incidents, that particularly the one where he threw his hand and hit the boy in the face. All credit to the Arsenal boy, he didn't make a melee it, but certainly it remains to be seen what he gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many games.
I think it's a 3-game ban, isn't it?
3-game ban, and of course Gabriel, I think, has had his rescinded for the moment for that just petulant little flick at Costa as well. As far as the other games last night in the League Cup, Ruffy, 7-0. It was a demolition job on Falkirk.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think Falkirk were doing particularly well in the league. Good group of young boys there, get the experience of the Cup last year, the Cup run. And it's just have to put it down, Jim. It's just one of the nights. You just bin it, move on. You've got a big game at the weekend coming up, and hopefully the players can recover from it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Jim, Peter Houston's assessment of it is 7 crosses, 7 goals.
Well, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, obviously we were given an extra time last night. Didn't really know any results until much, much later, Peter. But when I saw the scoreline, I thought, it's unbelievable, because Falkirk are a very difficult side to play against. Don't lose many goals. Very organised, very disciplined. But I mean, Ross County must have played outstanding stuff to score that many goals. And I know they're on a good run, and they have been since probably the turn of the year. They've been on a magnificent run under Jim McIntyre and Billy Dodd. So all credit to them. But to score 7 goals, no, I don't think anybody saw it coming. And Falkirk now have to regroup quickly because they play Queen of the South on Friday night at Falkirk Stadium, and so and that'll be a tough match. So they'll have to clear their heads quick.
Yep, absolutely. Let's look at the other results. Dundee United, Ruffy, did Jackie McNamara need that one?
Yeah, he certainly did. And obviously when it went to a draw, it could have went either way. But certainly, he'll be looking at his players, and they've got the win now. They'll be hoping that they can kick on for there, because I don't think he would have liked to have been on the end of a defeat last night. I think the supporters have been just baying their time, to possibly have a go at Jackie. So the win, as we always said, a win takes the pressure off.
Yeah, albeit after extra time, Jackie won't care.
No, I mean, in the Cup it's about being in the next round, and they are, and so therefore he's done his job. And I have to be honest with you, as a manager, I definitely feel for Jackie. When you keep losing your best players, Peter, it's not automatic that the production line is ready to supply with another 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Sometimes there's cycles. You've got 2 or 3 years where you're producing young players, and then you've got 2 or 3 years where there's not quite the same quality there. So, and he's had to, move out some really, really top players over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and always try to fill it with other younger players, but they don't always click into gear. So, I think like any manager, you need time, and I think that the chairman, really could say, listen, our objectives just now are not perhaps to be challenged for European place. It's to consolidate, develop young players, and maybe that's fine if you understand what your objectives are, and you go with that. If Jackie says, well, this is the club's objective, then fine, he knows where he stands. But I think it's been difficult for him because he said top players taken away, and any manager will tell you then if you get 1 or 2 injuries as well, then straight away your squad's depleted. But a great result for him last night, and that maybe give him confidence to bounce on.
So is that when you're a manager, you need the people that you're talking about to be on the same wavelength as you?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you turn around and say, you've got the same objectives when you had Chifty and Armstrong and Mackay Stevenson and Andy Robertson and these kind of guys, then I think that's a bit unfair. If you say, well, our objectives have changed, so we're not expecting you to be in the top 4. We maybe not expect you to be in the bottom 4, but if you're somewhere around about the middle, then fine. And I think if you say that to the manager, and the manager can relax a little bit and understand he's got a bit of time. Fans aren't always happy with that, but I think that there's got to be a bit of realism there that sometimes you need that year or so just to allow those other young players like Suter and that to develop, and and Fraser, who's another young boy who's come in as a terrific player. But they maybe just need a year under their belt to try and move the club forward again, and I'm sure Jackie knows that. But as I said, but fans, of course, have got every right to want their club to be competing. And I think the emergence of Aberdeen doing so well, obviously, maybe puts Dundee and Dundee improving has maybe put a little bit, Dundee United on the back foot, but. As I said, I just think he needs a bit of time, and I think if you've got to judge a manager over a concerted period of time, not a short period of time, and I think over a concerted period of time, Jackie McNamara's done a terrific job there.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Ruffy, just picking up on what Jim's saying there, Jackie still remains calm and adamant that he can turn things around. Maybe he's had that conversation with the chairman, but as Jim says, maybe it's time for the chairman to come out and say, look, here are our objectives.
Yeah, but I think Jackie will be reassured if he's possibly had that meeting internally, But again, as Jim just touched on it briefly there, sometimes it's the supporters you need to convince. The only way you convince them is by winning games. They don't look at the bigger picture. All they see is they're paying their money, they're getting in there, their team's had 4 wins or whatever. They want to see wins. So sometimes it's them you need to convince to have a happy playing field. Yeah,
and the other result, Livingston 0, Inverness 2. I don't think we expected anything. No disrespect to what Mark Burchell's doing there, but Inverness have just slowly but surely started to respond to Yogi this season. There was that period where Yogi kept saying, I don't want any fallout from the cup win, but he got it.
Yeah, I think, obviously people were looking again for them to step on after last season, and again losing guys like Watkins and Billy Mackay, goal scorers in their team over the last little while. Again, took him a little bit of time to adapt to that, but he stuck by his philosophy. He wants to play open, attractive football, but he maybe just didn't have that focal point of a goal scorer which he had over the last season or two. But they've now started to find their feet again, and I think that Livingston again have had very, very difficult games. I've had games against Rangers away, games against Inverness away, so very difficult for a club when you don't have huge resources. But I think Mark will be delighted that his team, by all accounts, were very organised, disciplined, and put up a really good performance. And as a manager, that's what you want. You want a good performance, and that can hopefully give you confidence when you get back to a league campaign.
Yep, there are 3 games tonight, Ruffy, that I think you'd be hard pressed to suggest there's going to be an upset. Let's have a look at the games in question. Of course, Celtic against Raith Rovers, Hibs Aberdeen, Kilmarnock against Hearts. If anything, I'm looking at the bottom 2 games. They've got a bit of an edge to them. You wouldn't expect Celtic to be slipping up against Raith Rovers. I think they're rank outsiders.
No, you wouldn't, but I've been impressed with Wraith Rovers this year. I think they've had a few quality signings, a lot of signings with experience. They're doing well in the league. They'll go there, you know, hoping to up a good display. It depends, I think, what team Celtic put out.
Well, just picking up on that point, Robbie, I think the general feeling is, again, he's got enough strength and depth, Ronnie Dyler, that he can tweak it.
Oh, he's got a huge squad there to pick and choose from, Peter, and they're all top class players. You know, you look at Celtic's bench, you know, it's full of real quality. So I don't think there'll be any excuses if Celtic don't do the business tonight. But as Ruffy says, you know, Wraith Rovers are a good side. You know, they went to St Mirren last week and won 2-1 away from home. They'll go there, they'll be organised, they'll be disciplined, they'll try and frustrate Celtic, make it difficult for them. But again, like any top side, if Celtic play to their potential, then they should win the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, all I'm saying is I've been impressed with Wraith Rovers. I would really like to, I don't know if he's still injured, I would like to see Scott Allen. You know, I'm really looking forward to see what he can do in that Celtic trip.
Yeah, he's been one of those players that I think has shone in the Championship. Whether he can do it in the Premiership, that remains to be seen. So that's one game. Hibs Aberdeen, Ruffy, is just, I think that's got the makings of a cracker, because Alan Stubbs again, you know, like Mark Warburton has said, this Hibs side could compete in the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah, again, you know, these are the games you test yourself against, you know, but again, as we've said there, Celtic have got a lot of quality, so have Aberdeen. You know, there was 4 or 5 guys who would be first team players, never played at the weekend, so even though if he shuffles the park, he's going to have first team players in there, so I think it'll be a close game, very close.
You mentioned the joy of getting someone like Alex Samuel. The joy of getting someone like Liam Henderson for Hibs has been a masterstroke.
No, I mean, I said before, it's just a matter of opinion. I think Liam Henderson's every bit as good a player as Scott Allen. That's my personal opinion, having seen Liam Henderson several times with Celtic's young squad now. I know he's not got the first team experience and he's still got to do that, but talent wise, I think he's a terrific player. It's a great signing. They've also added Farouz, Keatings, you know, to the top end of the pitch. They've got Cummins, they've got Malonga now, so they now have added competition for goals, which is something I think people you know, criticise them for a little bit, playing a lot of good football but maybe not having an end product. But they now have that end product, Peter, and they're still very difficult to break down. Their goals against column is exceptional, so they will be very difficult to break down tonight for Aberdeen, and I can't really see many goals in this game. I can see it being a 1-0. I mean, Aberdeen are flying just now, as you know, but I think it'll be a very tight encounter. It could well go to extra time. Yeah,
and just on that point, Ruffy, I know you're like a weather cockerel. You swing with the wind at times. You had Hibs last night. Have you changed your mind?
No, I haven't. I'm going to stick by Hibs tonight.
You want to stick by the Hibees?
Yep.
Okay, there you are. There's a man resolute in his opinion. Coming up after the break, we'll look at that other tie, and we will also discuss some of the heroics in European football last night as well, and we will also discuss the possibilities of the new Motherwell manager. Welcome back to the final part of Peter and Ruffy's football show. Don't forget STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. Monday to Friday we're on at 6:30. Alan Ruff, as always, joining me in the studio, and we have a very special boot room guest.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Before we discuss a little further who potentially could get the Motherwell job, of course, Jim Duffy is our boot room guest. We had one match that we were talking about before the break, which was, of course, Hibs against Aberdeen. Just a word on Aberdeen. You mentioned there that they've done so well. From an outsider, as far as the leagues are concerned, Jim, are we building them up too much for giving Celtic a real run for their money?
No, I don't think we're building them up too much. I think that you know, we want competition. No one wants a one-horse race, and I think that you know, they were thereabouts probably until about February. I would think February, March last year. If they can sustain it right into the last month of the season, it'd be terrific for the game. I'm sure the Celtic fans wouldn't want that. They want it done and dusted, but. I think ultimately most people will still fancy Celtic to come out on top over the course of the season, but Aberdeen have built a much stronger squad this year. As Ruffy said earlier, there's real competition for places now, and you know, I think they've banked on a tough season. I think Derek McInnes looked at last season, thought maybe they just tailed away. I don't think that will happen this year.
Yeah, OK, that final game's got a little bit of edge to it as well, Ruffy. Kilmarnock against Hearts. I think Gary Locke will have, you know, in a quieter moment, a real feeling of what might have been with his beloved Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, he was there through the bad times, and all credit to him. He did a sort of Alan McCoy's job at Hearts. And I think it must have been a surprise to him, the way everything panned out, you know, with the new regime and everything, and they had a quick sweep of nearly everybody who was there. So I think deep down he'd feel a wee bit unjust at what had happened, but he's at a new club now, and it's always, as Jim tells, it's always good to get one over in your old club. Not with any bad feeling or anything like that. In a footballing sense, it'd be good for him to walk away winning that game tonight. Yeah.
Is there a wee added edge? How do managers think, Jim, with this one? Will Gary think, OK, try and keep a lid on it, but come on?
I think it depends really just on how you are as a person, you know. I don't think, you know, certainly when I've been involved with previous clubs, it doesn't really bother me. I think you move on. Sometimes if you think you've been treated unfairly, there might be you know, a wee bit extra special if you get a result. But I think Gary will just want to make sure that their form continues. He was getting a lot of stick earlier on in the season. Obviously a couple of heavy home defeats, but then they've had a couple of good results recently. And Hearts have the opposite, started with 4 wins on the bounce, but now have lost the last couple of games. So from Kilmarnock's point of view, it's probably a good time to be playing Hearts. It's I think it's on the artificial surface again, which I don't think Hearts will be too keen on. So I think probably Kilmarnock are probably slight favourites tonight.
And the one thing that's becoming abundantly clear, Ruffy, is Hearts are recruiting quite a number of foreign players. This time it's a Belgian midfielder in Arnaud Djoum who's signed for them until January.
Yeah, obviously they've got a scouting system out there, there's no doubt about that, and they'll be wanting to improve year on year. You know, they're trying to bring players into the club. It surprises me a wee bit because the home-based talent they've got is superb. You know, there's no doubt about that. And if you're a young player, you know, and you've had a year of experience of playing games, and then all of a sudden a foreign player comes in and you're stepping out, it's a hard one to get your head round. You know, that you were away up there one year and then all of a sudden you're sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say about Hearts, Jim, is with the settled board, with the director of football in there, and of course the experience he can hand down to the manager, it has been very stable. Is this kind of a, you know, quickly looking for additional players in? Is that knee-jerk to the unusual situation of maybe a couple of defeats that they didn't expect?
Well, obviously last year they were on an unbelievable run and won the league comprehensively. I think they were 20 odd points ahead of Hibernian in second. So, you know, the outstanding, and then they started the season, you know, really well. But this is the first blip they've had since Anne Budge and Craig Levine had been in there, and Robin Nielsen. So, you know, sometimes when you have that, you're still working with the players, but you maybe just get a signing just to kind of say to the guys there, well, listen, you can't rest on your laurels now. You know, there will be other players. We can bring in players. Ruffy says it might be young players, but when you're having defeats, it's unlikely that manager will then put the young players in and tend to find that they'll go for experience. But, you know, I think they need to turn that around quickly again, because it's high expectations and high demands at Hearts. I mean, I think their fans expecting them to be and, you know, competing for the top 4 this year, even though that might be a little bit unfair. But I think Hearts are such a big club that that's what will be expected. Any
of you two guys going against Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts tonight?
Well, Ruffy's went for Hibs, I think, isn't he?
I've went for Hibs, yeah. I can see Kilmarnock beating Hearts tonight. Jim touched on it, the surface. It depends how they adapt to that. I think that's becoming a big play now. It's very evident watching games that there are players are not comfortable on that surface.
So Hibs, Kilmarnock and Celtic for you. Okay then. Jim, it's never an easy situation when you obviously see a manager lose his job. Now Motherwell will start to think about who they get as a replacement. And again, you know, this is a period where a lot of guys who are looking for a job wait to see if the board is going to get a little bit edgy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing. I mean, I think you look at last year when you know, Motherwell stayed up, was it 6-1 was the aggregate over the 2 games against Rangers, and, you know, and it's only September and it, you know, turns around and you lose your job. It's unbelievable football. You get very little time to turn things back around the game. When there's a dip, you know, people are looking for the axe. But as I said, it's the nature of the job. Everyone knows it. When we go into it, we're fully aware of it, and you have to accept it. That's it. But now the choice from Motherwell's point of view is do they recruit from within?
Yes.
You know, maybe one experience. We've got experienced players like Keith Lasley, Stephen Craigan's there as one of the coaches. You know, maybe interim. You know, look at interim. Look to see whether one of those guys takes over, or Steve McManus, or these kind of guys, or they'll outside, and they'll be inundated with top class candidates, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, with that in mind, I mean, there'll probably be a list the length of your arm tomorrow, Ruffy, with guys who are going to put their name in the hat. Russell Latipi's been on our programme talking about it. Mixu Patalainen might want to sniff at it as well. Some of the managers who are actually making a good impression now, you know, with their clubs. I have to say, I do think they'll go for someone who's been in the league. I don't know if you agree with me.
I was going to say, Jim, not just because Jim's in here tonight, you know, Jim's been there at the top. You know, do you, as a manager, get disillusioned when you see clubs like that needing a manager, and all of a sudden they go to Ireland, or they go down the divisions in England, when we have got home-based managers here who, like yourself, have went through it with clubs, through it at a higher level, that you don't give you a chance? Yeah,
I think with disregard people here, as I said, they don't really look at a body of work. Sometimes it's just timing. If your recent jobs have been quite good, you know, but if you've maybe recently you've not done so well, but in the past they don't look at it. So I think we do. We're a bit harsh on our own managers, our own coaches. I think it's the same down south. Almost every job that comes up, I always look down south and I look at the job that Pardew's done and Tony Pulis has done and Sam Allardyce. But when the top jobs come up, they're never mentioned, these type of guys.
Yeah, but they don't have a Dutch accent, Jim. It buys you time.
Yeah, but I'll let you have a Dutch accent, or I'm Steve McClaren. But you know, rarely do these type of guys get the big jobs, and they're not even mentioned for them. It's always someone out with the country, and I think that happens here. I think we've got some terrific managers and coaches here. But there are guys, you said, I mean, I think I've seen Alec McLeish on the TV, a former Motherwell manager, looking for a job, whether he'll come back to Scotland. But there'll be top class guys, you know, desperate to get back in again. Everyone knows how difficult it is. But as you said, Peter, that doesn't stop everyone knocking on the door and wanting the job.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be more than a few names in the hat. Just before we go, guys, 5 goals, Lewandowski. I mean, it's just outrageous. His 5th one was the pick of them all, Ruffy, to score 5 against Wolfsburg as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's something we don't want to see happen, you know, with the game coming up, but maybe he'll just go on a wee bad run.
Yeah,
it just shows you the quality that he's got, though, Peter. And you know, when we play Poland in a few weeks' time, you know, he is a bit like the kind of Gareth Bale thing. With they've got some good players, but he is the exceptional player in there and can win a game on his own almost. Yeah,
you're absolutely right, Jim. And I think in this programme we would never wish anyone an injury ahead of such a big game.
A wee calf strain or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Just something that he can recover from, you know, but as long as he misses that game. I've got to say, Ruffy, just a final point. Well done, Davy Moyes' boy. 3-0 Granada. He needed it.
Yeah, he certainly did. I saw clips on Sky Sports. Head looked down a wee bit, but certainly, as we keep saying, it doesn't matter what team you're in, you get a win. You know, it changes everything.
It does indeed. Listen, great to talk to Jim Duffy. He lives on to fight another day. He knows more than most what can happen in a managerial merry-go-round. But Morton are into Monday's draw for the next round of the League Cup. But sadly, the team they defeated last night are on the lookout for a new manager. We just wonder who will emerge as the front runner to step into the hot seat and try and get Motherwell back on track. Thanks to Jim Duffy. Good luck in the next round. From Ruffy and myself, good night.